All right, guys, we are live on a Tuesday night here, doing my what I got right and what I got wrong live stream for you guys, man. Originally, this was supposed to be done on Monday night. I ended up getting really busy, man, trying to get these videos out to you that I did today. I just want you guys to realize I am a one-man show over here. So everything I do is all me, and I have to stay up really late to do it, but I wouldn't have it any other way, guys. I love being fantasy football, talking with you guys about it during the season. It's so fun for me. So I love doing this stuff, man. And I think one of the most important things, and this is why I do it every week, is this type of video is really important, I think, to do because first of all, I don't think you can move forward in fantasy football without accepting what you got right and what you got wrong. Because the only way to move forward is accepting what you got wrong and figuring out a path forward so you can continue on. So I think it's a very important piece of it right now. And so today we're going to do our normal weekly thing. Every week we do this. We do what I got right and what I got wrong in the prior week's fantasy football matchups and my analysis of those matchups. So obviously I'm in a much different location right now. The lighting is not nearly as good. So I am going to go ahead and just get right into it. We will be back in the normal studio, hopefully in a couple of more days here. So I think the first thing that I think needs to be said about what I got right in week 2 is that, listen, Jalen Hurts after week 1, a lot of people were like, what's going on here, right? And Jalen Hurts, I had him ranked as my number 1 quarterback of the week. Now, what I didn't get right is the exact ranking of things. Like, he was not he wasn't the number 1 quarterback on the week. But this just goes to show that, like, even in a down week where he wasn't, like, super great throwing the ball, the value of a running quarterback, it simply cannot be overstated. I mean, it's so important to have a running quarterback in fantasy football. And Jalen Hurts showed why. In a game versus Minnesota where I thought that they were going to honestly beat them way worse than they did and put up way more points, the passing game really wasn't that important for the Philadelphia Eagles that week. And Jalen Hurts still finished as a top 5 quarterback this past week. Jalen Hurts is tremendous. There's no reason to worry about a guy like Jalen Hurts because the rushing upside is there. I mean, take a guy like Justin Fields. He's the perfect example to me, honestly, because Justin Fields is a guy that a lot of people are panicking about. I actually did a video earlier today on Tuesday that was going over players that people are panicking on right now. And Justin Fields is obviously one of the players that everyone's panicking on right now. So it's a situation for me where it's like, just understand with these running quarterbacks that the rushing upside is what gives them a very safe floor. The floor is always going to be there for guys like Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields, even Lamar Jackson, as bad as he's been. I can't put him on my bench in most situations because this is a guy that has the rushing upside as well. So the rushing quarterback upside here, it's no joke. It's no joke at all. And it's something that we need to continue to acknowledge as being a really important piece to this whole thing. So I see I got a question. Iggy, what's going on here, man? Would you drop Dotson or Roschon for Ford? So, yeah, this is a situation where I think that I would drop Roschon for Jerome Ford. And honestly, like, I don't prefer to drop Roschon Johnson. Like, you'll see, I'll have something to say about him in my running back rankings video tomorrow. So make sure to tune in for that video. You'll see what I have to say about Roschon in particular. But, this is a situation where this is the guy who's going to lead the backfield for the rest of the season, barring injury. So you have to go ahead and pick up a guy like that who's going to be the running back 1 on his offense for a full season. So, yeah, I would, if there's one guy I would drop, I would go ahead and drop Roschon for it. Super CMB challengers just traded away Miles Sanders and Olave for Chase. What do you think? Now I have Gibbs, James Cook, Diggs, CD, and Chase. So just traded away Miles Sanders and Olave for Chase. This is a situation where I included Jamar Chase on my list of buy low players after week 2 fantasy football, before week 3 fantasy football. And I love getting Jamar Chase right now. It blows my mind, honestly, how many people are like getting just screaming to get off of Jamar Chase right now. It's good to take advantage, man. I like Chris Olave a lot, so I don't love giving him away. But Miles Sanders, man, I mean, that's a guy who's falling in value by the day. So I love getting Chase. I think the upside long-term is better than Olave. So I like the move there personally. So, guys, if you don't know, this is my weekly live stream of what I got right and what I got wrong about fantasy football the week prior in my analysis. I think it's important to be transparent with you guys and to show honesty because that's the only way that we move forward as a fantasy football community. I'm trying to build a community on honesty here. And the only way we do that is if we discuss what we got right and what we got wrong in fantasy football. It was supposed to be last night, ended up being up really late, editing all these videos. I'm a one-man show over here getting it done. So if you appreciate my videos, please make sure to drop a like on this live stream and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. So we're going to get back into the questions in a minute. I want to continue on with the list here, though. So one of the things I got wrong, and it's also in Thursday night, is, oh my God, man. I mean, this is crazy. Alexander Madison. It's just simply a bad situation. I mean, honestly, guys, like I got to take my L for this one. And it's honestly, I don't like to do this early, but I'm taking my L on him for the whole season. I don't like to do this very early. I've done it with two guys already. I've done it with Calvin Ridley, and I've done it with now Alexander Madison. It's crazy, man. I mean, this is a situation where this guy is so inefficient. I mean, he averages, I think, through 3 weeks, like 3.3 yards per carry. It's bad. It's really, really bad. I mean, this offense is not the worst either. Like, this is a pass-first offense, and that's the situation here. But this is not like some inefficient offense that can't get anything going. Alexander Madison can't get anything going. It's embarrassing. And I think that the bigger message here of what I need to look at moving forward, because this affects you guys too, is that I need to put a much larger emphasis on targeting running backs behind good offensive lines. Because this is something that I highlighted in several draft strategy videos over the offseason about finding running backs with good offensive lines and picking those guys in drafts. There needs to be more emphasis on it because Thursday night was the perfect example. DeAndre Swift, a player who literally started out week 1 with 2 touches, dominated the Minnesota Vikings defense. There's 2 reasons for it. The first reason is that, yes, Minnesota Vikings defense, they're not good. Like they're getting just abused both in the run and in the pass. So they're not a good defense at all. But the second reason is that Philadelphia's offensive line is great. They're the number 1 rated offensive line in 2023. There's a reason why like guys like Kenneth Gainwell and DeAndre Swift have had good weeks so far in fantasy football. This is something that I need to put more emphasis on, guys. So Alexander Madison, this is a public L I'm taking right now. And you know, the reasons it's a live stream, guys. If you want to dunk on me too, that's totally fine. Because like I said, we're building a community of being honest and having a lot of transparency with you guys because we can't move forward in fantasy football if we don't admit what we got wrong. So another thing that I got right here is that all throughout last week, one of the most asked about guys that I had in my comments section was Joshua Kelly. And a lot of people were like, Joshua Kelly coming off the good week. Should I start him over, guys like Josh Jacobs is coming off a bad week or, someone like Najee Harris? And I said, no, don't do it. And the reason I said that is because there was a couple reasons. One of the main reasons I said that is because this is a situation where Joshua Kelly he doesn't have the pass catching upside that Austin Eckler does. And so if you're not taking on a really bad defense, then you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle. And Tennessee is a top 3 run defense in the NFL. He struggled. It was very predictable to me personally because, like I said, you got a guy who's a backup running back who's not a pass catcher who's going to have to rely on the run to get any fantasy value, and the defense he's going up against is very good against the run. I'll take the defense that's good against the run over a backup running back that can't pass catch to give the fantasy value that week. And yeah, this is a situation where I think that specifically with running backs that are backups, we can't overreact. Jerome Ford's a great example. I'll talk more about Jerome Ford in tomorrow's running back rankings video. But just to give you a little bit of a sneak peek, Jerome Ford is probably not as high on my rankings as he is on a lot of people's rankings. The reason is because he is also taking on the Tennessee Titans this week as well. And the Pittsburgh Steelers defense that he just ran through, they're dead last in rushing yards allowed in 2023. Backup running backs need more help. And if you're going up against a top tier rushing defense, it's not going to be that easy for a backup running back. Another thing that I was so clearly wrong about this one, and I kind of took a little bit of an L on this in last week's right and wrong video, but I took an L on the Los Angeles Rams, man. Before the season, I said on multiple occasions, I think the Rams are going to be awful in 2023. Atrocious. They are not atrocious. This team looks really good, and it's led by Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams, who after week 1, I said, this is a flash in the pan, and they're going to have a reality check against the 49ers. They took it to the 49ers. They didn't win the game, obviously, but fantasy football, like these guys are legit options moving forward. And you saw Puka highlighted on my wide receiver rankings video today. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it after this live stream is over. But man, Kyron Williams, you'll see how high he is on my list tomorrow of running back rankings. I mean, it's crazy. I was wrong on the Los Angeles Rams this year. I was so wrong. And honestly, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me, to be honest with you. No Cooper Kupp. Matt Stafford's older now. Offensive line is atrocious. I don't know how it works, but it does. It does. Sean McVay's a great coach. That's one of the main reasons it works. Another thing that I got really, really right, and I'm really proud of this one in particular, is that Anthony Richardson is a guy that I had included on my buy low trade targets after week 1 fantasy football, before week 2 fantasy football. Anthony Richardson, I am so confident in him for the rest of the season. Not just him, but Michael Pittman too. Indianapolis Colts pass catchers in general, I'm in on. The two main guys, Richardson and Pittman, I'm so in on them. Because Anthony Richardson, if you didn't watch the game, and you just looked at his score, you're like, oh, that's a good 17-point game. He played the full game, and it was a great game. Anthony Richardson left that game in the second quarter, and he still had over 17 fantasy points in that game. That's how good this guy's going to be. He's literally in the perfect situation, and I'm so happy that I know I have him on a lot of teams, and I want you guys to continue trading for him, even if he doesn't play this week, because he probably is going to miss this game with a concussion in week 3. It doesn't matter. You trade for this guy. He is going to be a great fantasy football quarterback. We're looking at the next Jalen Hurts, the next Lamar Jackson, this year's Justin Fields. This guy is going to, honestly, I really do believe that this guy is going to win some leagues this year, and I hope you have him. And if you don't have him, I would still try to trade for him, because I have a newsflash. You can still trade for him right now. He has not solidified himself yet, but it's close and it's coming. And if you want him, I would do it now. Man, another thing that I got really wrong is that, again, with the running back situation here, there's several running backs that I really just was really wrong on before the start of the season. And all of them have one thing in common. The guys I'm talking about are Dameon Pierce, Miles Sanders, and Najee Harris. The one thing they all have in common is they are on just bad offenses that can't move the ball. And that's the problem here, is that, and this is something that I said over the offseason, we need to remember that in fantasy football, running backs who are on lower teams, who are bottom 7 teams, they don't have top tier fantasy running backs. This is what we're looking at this year with guys like that. Dameon Pierce, I mean, this is a guy that I was telling you guys very early in the offseason, draft Dameon Pierce. I was wrong. I mean, Dameon Pierce looks, it's not just him, but the offense in general. I mean, there's no way he's going to have fantasy upside. I'd be surprised if he got 5 or 6 touchdowns this year. I mean, it looks bad. Obviously, it's week 2. Don't want to overreact, but this offense is not good. And Miles Sanders as well. This offense cannot move the ball. So there's a lot of things that are going wrong here, I think, with these two teams. Najee Harris as well. I mean, this offense is atrocious. They won on Monday night, but the offense barely moved the ball. If it wouldn't have been for their defense, they wouldn't have won the game. They didn't score enough points. So, yeah, there's definitely something to be said about moving forward, paying more attention to things that I said during the offseason, is that fantasy, NFL teams that are in the bottom 10 to bottom 7 of the league, they don't have good fantasy running backs. And I need to take that more seriously and make sure that I am getting that message across to y'all, because guys like Miles Sanders and Dameon Pierce, they're in for rough seasons. Really, really rough seasons. Another thing I got right is that, my buy low trade target video, like I consider trades to be one of the best things in fantasy football for many reasons. It's so fun to do them because it's so fun to interact with your league mates, and that's what makes fantasy football fun. But also, this is something that I think that I truly believe this. There is a strong element of negotiations and sales when you are making trades. If you are looking to make a deal, there is an element of sales in there. So when you are looking to get guys on the cheap, you can make really good deals. And two guys that were in my buy low video last week before week 2 were T. Higgins and Devontae Adams. And what do you know? They both had fantastic rebound weeks because the reality with week 1, after week 1, everybody overreacts. It's overreaction time. It's a lot of people overreacting things that don't matter in the long run. T. Higgins having a goose egg doesn't matter in the long run. He just had a 20-plus point game this week. Devontae Adams having a bad game in week 1 didn't matter. He had a 17-plus point game in week 2, and he left that game early. So there's a lot of things that I think people overreact to, specifically after week 1. And that's what I'm thinking is going to happen again in week 2. I mean, I've got A.J. Brown as a must-buy low guy right now. Jamar Chase is a must-buy low guy. Trades are something I'm very, very confident in because I know for a fact that I've worked in sales for years, and there definitely is an element of sales when you're making trades in fantasy football. So let's go ahead and get into these questions, man. I'm just going to answer a couple questions that we're going to sign off. I've got to edit these videos tonight, man, to make sure they get to y'all on time. So I'm limited on time here, but we're going to get through some of these questions right now. What's going on, Volcano? Tried buying Chase low, no luck. Yeah, it's not always going to work. But again, it depends on how desperate the guy is. If he's 0-2, it can absolutely be done. And, make sure to really sell who you're trying to sell to him. Sam Lilly, should I trade Gibbs for Debo and Madison? I would hold on to Debo. I would hold on to Jahmyr Gibbs. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is about to be a breakout guy. I have a lot of faith in Jahmyr Gibbs right now. Dave Montgomery is going to miss the next couple weeks. I think this is where we see the Jahmyr Gibbs takeover. I would hold Gibbs personally. Everybody makes mistakes. You're good, man. No. Yeah, like I said, the whole point of this live stream is that, one, it's live because you guys feel free to dunk on me for my bad takes, week to week. That's what's fun about the community I'm trying to build here with you guys. But the point is that there's no moving forward in life and fantasy football without being honest about what you got wrong, so we can address it and address the mistake and move forward. That's the reason that I do these videos this week. Let's keep going. Is Jerome Ford a great running back for this week? No, I do not believe he is. I do not believe he is. It smells like Josh Kelly from last week to me. And I'll kind of leave it at that. I'll leave it at saying no, I don't think so. And I'll say that watch my running back rankings video tomorrow to see where he is. And I'll give you a more in-depth analysis on what I think about Jerome Ford specifically for week 3. Kyron Williams looks like a good rookie. Kyron Williams isn't a rookie, but I mean, he basically might as well be. Who would you stream for defense, special teams? Tampa, Patriots, or Seattle? So yeah, we'll get into the defensive rankings early in this week. We will get into it on Thursday, so make sure you stay tuned for the defense rankings video. And defense rankings video are every week on this channel, by the way, because I'm one of the only fantasy football YouTubers who does it. By the way, please make sure to like this video if it gives you value. And if you appreciate me doing these types of videos, what I got right and what I got wrong in week 2 fantasy football, going over lessons learned that we may need to correct moving forward, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I really appreciate you guys' support every single week. Should I trade Garrett Wilson for ETN, Christian Watson, and Pierce? If you can get all those guys for Garrett Wilson, you're my hero. That's amazing. That's an excellent trade. If you can get ETN alone for Garrett Wilson, that's fantastic. My Lamb for Chase, it's a close one. Honestly, I would ask for more in addition to Chase because CeeDee Lamb is just like he's so consistent right now, and he's got such a high ceiling too. I think you get more. I think you could get another running back too, or a upgraded tight end in addition here. I would ask for more. I wouldn't just settle for that. Hall or Ford this week? I will go with Breece Hall, and I will leave it at that and let you watch my running back rankings video tomorrow. I got a few snide comments for saying I was starting Josh Reynolds. Now they're jumping on the hype train. Totally agree. Josh Reynolds was he was actually one of my favorite waiver wire pickups before week 2 fantasy football. I had it in my week 2 waiver wire additions video, and I'm with you. Josh Reynolds was a great play. So, how will Steelers firing their offense coordinator impact fantasy outlook, specifically Pickens and Muth? I mean, it would be huge. I mean, this offense is absolutely kindergarten level. Just making sure, did I miss that they fired their offensive coordinator? Yeah, they haven't fired him. I don't know if you were just asking us just for fun, but yeah, they haven't fired him. But I mean, it would make a huge difference here, man. It would make a massive difference in this offense. Like, Matt Canada is such an atrocious offensive coordinator. And just a fun fact for people is that the Pittsburgh Steelers have the cheapest coaching staff in the NFL. Just let that sink in for a little bit. I'm just going to leave it at that. The Pittsburgh Steelers are not the same team that people remember from the 2010s. And I can tell you that because I've been watching the Steelers ever since I can remember. Not going to make this about the Pittsburgh Steelers, though. This is about fantasy football. What about Gus Edwards? Is he a good pick? Is he a good pick going into week 3? Yeah, he's fine. Like, he's in my lower tier of guys to play this week, but I'll leave it at that. So, guys, I'm out of time here tonight. I appreciate y'all joining tonight. Please make sure to like the video if you got value from it and subscribe to the channel. I will sign off. I will see you guys all in tomorrow's video. Catch you later.